Hi, and welcome to Q&A with the Dumpling Coaches. My name is Sarah, and I'm one of the coaches here at Dumpling, and I'm joined by Coach Ashley to go over the most common questions about the dumpling difference and mindset change coming from the gig world. So without further ado, let's dive in. Ashley?
Perfect. So let's first go over what Dumpling is in comparison to other gig apps or other forms of entrepreneurship. And this can kind of help you see if this is the right fit for you. So a big one that comes up is time flexibility and working with who you want. So with Dumpling, you really set your schedule to work when you want to work instead of just when things are busy. And people typically order ahead to work into that time. And then you kind of choose your clients, you pick who you want to work with. You might get some sprinkled in here that were referrals or found you through a zip code search. But generally, you are picking all of your clients and really attracting the people that are the right fit for you, and then working with those people in a repeated setting.
I think the next one would be kind of setting your own prices, and you can often make more for less orders. So with the other gigs, you don't have that freedom to be able to say, I want X for this order, or I'm only willing to drive X far, though you can say, I don't want to take that order, but that's money that you're not making. With Dumpling, you guys are able to set all of your prices. So you can go in and say, I'm going to set it by 15% with a $15 minimum. You can also go in there and adjust your tipping preferences. Though tipping is not mandatory, you're still able to select what it is that the client is going to see. So they're going to see the 8, 10, 12, 15%. Or do you want to go, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it may be, you guys have that freedom and flexibility. And you don't have to wonder, am I going to make enough on every order to pay for, whether it's your car, the gases, expenses, whatever it may be, because there's a lot of expenses that come with running your own business. So just a lot more flexibility within that as well. And you're able, again, you can do less orders and you can still make enough money. So you're not having to take all the smaller orders or all the larger orders. You can kind of pick and choose and your clients as to when you want to do them, working with them, what works best for you, what works best for them. And even having, if they know somebody within their area that also needs delivery from the same store, you can work out a discount if that's something you're wanting to do, because it's saving you time, your gas, all of that. It's helping you. You can kind of pass that along to the clients.
And just to add to that, if that's something that sounds really scary to you, we do have a bunch of coaching resources available to help people, kind of see this is the starting point we recommend. Here's where that could change based on your factors, your area, your goals, how often you're working, things like that. So if that's something you're wanting to do, it's definitely the right space for you, but you're also not kind of drowning on your own, figuring out what that looks like. And then another way to look at it is if customers are constantly asking you on other apps, can I get you every time? Or I really love how you did this for me. You are obviously standing out to them. Or maybe there's customers that you just really care for and you really want to go above and beyond for them or always get them. But with the option that you're using to do work now, that's just not always possible. You may be restricted by a timer, or they may be going to another shopper, whatever it may be. If those are things that are coming up for you a lot, where you're saying, I wish I could work with this person, or this person wishes they could work for me, that can be a really good indicator that you're doing something different than what others in your area might be doing, and it can make sense to branch out on your own.
I think kind of along with that is, are they asking you for stores that are not offered within the other gig apps, right? So a lot of them, they have to be partnered with those stores in order for a shopper to shop there and then deliver. So if there's a store that they're wanting, whether it's a small local store, maybe it's a pet store, a bakery, whatever it may be, they're not able to get that. And that is something that you are able to do within Dumpling, as long as they accept credit or Visa cards at their at their store. You can use the boss card right then and there, and you can deliver whatever it is kind of that the client is wanting. So that's a huge kind of thing that stands apart as well. And then there was also like, are there clients that you have worked with through other gigs, or just people that you've kind of met that you're like, these would be really amazing clients for me, like kind of Ashley was going off with, they're asking about you, or you have a really good relationship with them already. You can continue to build off of those relationships, and hopefully they can turn into clients, or if they're not needing that service, maybe they know somebody who does. So that's where that kind of that referral can come in as well. People tend to know other people that are like them, and they can bring in other clients that can be a good fit as well.
Another thing that a lot of our shoppers on our platform do is not just grocery. And so I'll use myself as an example here. I kind of do everything within the service realm, because as you get to know clients, they trust you, and they'll sometimes ask like, hey, can you do this as well? You already know their gate code. You might already be putting things in their garage and coming in their house, right? When they're not home. There's a level of trust that they're not going to get when they don't know who's coming to their door. And so some people are coming to Dumpling and they're saying, well, I already do some pet services, or I already do some house cleaning or some meal prep. And they're able to do that in conjunction with their business and kind of advertise them together and work with the same pool of people. So if you're already doing something on your own and you're wanting to add grocery services, that can be a benefit as well, or any sort of delivery, right? Whether it's party supplies, home organizing supplies, pet supplies, things that you're having to go and shop for someone and pay for it and add it to what you're doing for them. It's definitely an option to consider.
I think, so before we move on, one last thing would be, is Dumpling the right fit for your business? So a few questions to kind of ask yourself, and a few things to just kind of keep in mind when you're kind of looking at Dumpling and saying, maybe this is good, I'm not exactly sure. So the first thing to know is, marketing is going to be up to you guys. So getting your business out there to your community, bringing in clientele, that is you going on social media, word of mouth, talking to people you know, having them share it. However it may be, it is up to you guys as the business owner to grow that business. We do, Ashley and I, we offer coaching, so we are happy to help with things like that, but it is, it takes time, right? It's not going to you're not going to turn the app on and all of a sudden have orders like you would with the other gigs. So that's one of the biggest things for you guys to kind of keep in mind. And then I would say probably the second one would be just the differences in the stores and the inventory. So other gigs, they partner with apps in stores. We do not. So everything that you see on the app is manually added, and it does take some time because we don't work with those stores. Not all the pricing is going to be spot on. It is a national average. They may not find a specific item that they're looking for, which is okay, because they're always able to find it by creating a custom item. They can take a picture of the item if they're wanting to, or just leave it blank with just, Cool Ranch Doritos, whatever it may be. And they're also able to reach out to you directly. So any issues that arise, any questions that come, the customers are able to immediately get out or reach out to you, whether it's via in-app or text message, ask those questions, and you're able to help and figure out the answer or walk them through or say, oh, yeah, there's this item instead, whatever it may be. And you're not necessarily just going, through an app where they can't reach out to you afterwards. Ashley, what else? Anything else?
That's a really good point. I think a lot of people, when they get started, especially if they've been on other apps for a long time, they get kind of hung up on how flexible our app is. They really think it's like, but the customer put this in the list, they're paying for it. What if I don't find it? And essentially, think about if you were to go to the grocery store for like your elderly neighbor and they were going to give you a list. It's kind of a more advanced version of that. What it plays off of is your relationship with the customers, what you're willing to do for them, what you set for them with expectations. And then Dumpling is the tools, right? So the prepaid card, the ability to track all of your stuff together, the ability to set prices for individual services, the ability to kind of talk to your customers in the app, manage lot of customers, that sort of thing. So as Sarah said, it's not necessarily like where you just turn on an app and orders are coming to you like they would with another app. It's more so like you're a business owner and this is a set of tools that's coming to you all wrapped up in a package. And then of course that comes with things like coaching, because making the switch to being a business owner, or even switching what kind of business you do if you're already a business owner, it can be a little bit confusing. And we've talked about this in another video, but Sarah and I have been through that process. And so that is what we're here for. Another thing that kind of goes in line with this is there are some things that we would pinpoint as far as like, what does a successful shopper look like? So you can kind of look at yourself and say, are these traits I possess? Is this something I'm comfortable with? And then decide, okay, this really does sound like I would fit there, or that would work for me. And as Sarah had mentioned, one of those is a little bit of a change of mindset, right? Like I'm going to kind of put in the effort and walk the walk to get these clients to come to me. But there's other parts of a mindset shift, such as having confidence, being accountable, right? If there's a mistake, it's your business. You can fix it. And customers actually love that we can fix it, but it's a little bit different if you're not used to that. Being reliant on customers tipping, again, you set your own rates so you can set them in a way that you don't need that. Tips really are extra on top, and that can be a little bit of a brain shift as well.
So that kind of leads us into number 2, which is, what does a successful shopper look like? So as Ashley said, that change in mindset, that is going to be the first and probably one of the biggest things, because it is so incredibly difficult. I know for myself, and I think Ashley as well, when we came from the gig world into our own businesses, huge mindset change. And it took a while for it to really sink in and to grasp it, right? Especially that not being reliant on tips, because we all came from this, space where it was all tips, right? We would maybe make $5 to $7 if we were lucky off the order, and then the rest of it was tips. And that is the complete opposite at Dumpling. You are setting that rate, saying that this is the amount that I need, and that tip is that cherry on top, a little bit of extra that they're able to give, which just, it completely changes everything, right? You're not reliant on, oh, well, if they don't tip this order, I'm not making enough. You are, because you're setting that fee, saying, well, if they don't tip, I'm good. If they do tip, that's awesome. I think the second one would be willing to actually get started, put your feet on the ground and find customers. It can be super difficult sometimes, right? And it can be really, like Ashley had said, it can be a huge mindset change and sometimes scary because we're not used to that. We're used to opening up an app and there's a bunch of orders we can choose from, and then we just go shop it. But the reality for Dumpling is you do need to market. And there's so many ways that we do talk about marketing, which we do cover within our university courses that we can link in our description as well. And we also have, like we have said, the coaching program. So Ashley and I can work with you guys one-on-one to, really dig into your business, your area, and find what you are most comfortable doing, and then work with you that way.
Yeah. And I think the other part of that, just to kind of hit on what you said, is you're not going to be the perfect business owner and the perfect business on day one. I have been in my business since 2019, and I still evolve and change, rebrand kind of every so often, take a look at things and update them, update policies or pricing. You learn as you go. And so being able to say, I want to be professional, I want to be accountable, but also taking off some of that perfection sort of pressure that we put on ourselves. Everyone starts at a different pace. And again, we're here to help you. Some people want that, some people don't. And it just knowing that it's not going to be, your full-time thing next week, most likely. Obviously, again, there are always outliers, but having patience and being able to learn and kind of say, oh, that didn't work, or maybe I made a mistake. How can I adjust that in the future is a big part of it.
in accepting that mistake and not getting down on yourself, because we all make mistakes. It doesn't matter what business you own. It can be a Fortune 500 business. They make mistakes. You just don't always hear about it or see about it, right? So it's okay to make mistakes. The biggest thing is just remembering it and learning from it. That's the whole point of, when you do make a mistake, is the biggest part to take from that is learning and growing and then evolving from that. How can I move forward to, make this better, make it so that I don't hit this mistake again? Always okay. Nothing wrong with that.
And it's a little strange to say, but I kind of like making mistakes in my business, because in comparison with the other apps, if I made a mistake, I just felt awful about it. There was nothing I could do to really fix it. And then I was like, am I going to get in trouble for this? And when I make one in my business, it's a lot different. Let's say I broke the customer's eggs. I can just go to the store and get them new eggs and bring them to them, or I can make it right. And it really builds a stronger bond with my customers and I. They trust that. They have a much better experience. They're not sitting on hold for an hour waiting to get a refund, right? They're having a person that's helping them. And it helps them be more graceful in that way as well. And so, it's not like I feel great when I make a mistake, but it's so nice that there's a solution and there's a follow through. And I do get to learn from it and grow. And customers are very quick to leave a really great review or referral if you did make a mistake, right? So don't feel like you can never make one. The bigger thing is just, how am I going to fix this at the end of the day, to smooth this out for the customer or for my business going forward? And that is it's a change when you're used to people being able to just like get a refund for something. It also means kind of doing a little bit of things to prevent a mistake. So if you're delivering to a new customer, really making sure you're at the right address, really making sure that all the substitutions you've picked are okay. So be prepared for some extra communication as you get to know your customers. If you're someone who goes very quickly through the store and normally does 3 orders, it might make sense to start doing, one at a time, something like that, because what you're building is a long-term relationship with these clients, not just, I need to get them their order now and move on to the next person. And that can take a little bit of rewiring for us as well.
Exactly. So number 3, what is the process of getting started with Dumpling like, and how does the sign up flow work? So with Dumpling, it is a subscription service. So it's $29 a month with a $19.99 startup fee. And all new users will get 2 months free. The sign up will also include a coupon for 100 free business cards, access to all of our university courses and our backend support. You'll have your own Dumpling webpage and a payment card. And then, so the Pro plan, that is the recommended subscription plan that we recommend to everybody. And this also has additional benefits included. This includes access to instant payouts. You'll have auto messaging, which will automatically send out the messaging that you have in the app to clients that first sign up, haven't ordered in a certain amount of time, all of that. So it just makes it a little bit easier for you guys to not have to focus so much on the messaging right away, and many more features as well. We'll include the link to this, to the Pro plan, in the description as well.
Another question that comes up often is, what does it look like once I do sign up, from when I sign up to when I'm actually running my business? And for most of the people on our platform, this is gradual. They might still be doing other gigs while they start their business, or working around another job, or whatever it may be. What we recommend as a minimum is strive for 5 orders a month. And that's where you'll get that value with that monthly fee, where it kind of pays for itself. So starting goal, you can start very small and just say, I really want to get 5 orders a month. Or you can set other goals like 10, 20, whatever it may be. But that 5 orders a month for an average order size is where people aren't feeling that monthly fee anymore. And they're actually utilizing some of those features that come with the Pro plan. So that's where we recommend for starting. But of course, if you are well above that, if you already have a lot of clients that you work with, don't feel like you can't do more than that either.
Exactly. So let's move on to some of the most common mistakes that we see business owners on the platform kind of utilizing or doing, and kind of diving into those. So the first one being low pricing and then relying on tips to be profitable. We see this quite often, specifically from people coming from the gig world, where they're just so used to, like we said before, so used to the tips, and that's how they make their money, right? So that's kind of their brain, how their brain thinks when they come into Dumpling is like, oh, well, I need to kind of keep my pricing in line with these other gigs. They'll just tip me. And then if they don't get a tip, they're not making much money. With that said, the majority of clients on the platform, they do tip. It's a very small case that doesn't tip. And the average tip is anywhere, I believe, from 18 to 22% on average. So it's a pretty decent sized tip nonetheless. With that said, it is so important for you guys to be setting those prices appropriately. We will link all of this in the description as well, but our recommended pricing on the pro plan is the 15% and a $15 minimum starting. That means you could go higher depending on your area, depending on the store, how far are you driving, all of that stuff. But the starting out, we do recommend 15 and $15, 15%, $15, sorry. And then not relying on the tips, and again, staggering those. So starting at like maybe 8, 10, 12, 15%, and then you can kind of go up from there. I personally, once I hit about 15, I go up in increments of 10 or about 5, and then I go up to about 30. Not all clients want to give 30%, but just in case, I like to have that on there. I think that is a huge common mistake, is just you're seeing, whether it's the prices of other gigs, you may see another business owner's pricing and you're like, what, they're in my area, I'm competing. Try not to think about it that way. Price your services accordingly. Make sure you are bringing home enough money at the end of that order to be positive, be on the positive side, and you're not losing money, because again, it costs money to run any sort of business. You're getting in your car is not free, your gas is not free, the maintenance on that, absolutely not free. And that's just one little expense. Actually, that's a big expense outside of all of the expenses that we have, whether it's, insulated bags, or if you purchase bags, t-shirts, whatever it may be that you're doing within your business.
I think within that too, there's a lot of confusion when people come because they're not necessarily aware of what those other apps charge, or they're confused by it. And so they think, a customer pays $7 for delivery plus this tip. In reality, there's a lot of money in the middle that we don't see and that customers don't see. This can be annual membership fees, inflated item pricing. And so with Dumpling, customers are always paying their store pricing for their items. And so that means you're not making extras on those hidden fees. It's transparent, it's upfront. And so if you're saying, wow, 15% sounds like a lot compared to $7, that's why. And then of course, all of our fees are laid out ahead of time so that you can set your fee to encompass that. Whereas on another app, they could take 5%, they could take 20%. You're not going to see that. You're not going to know. And so that is one reason we do like to lay out all of our fees ahead of time. And that way people are able to really say, okay, 15% covers my expenses, right? And then I can make enough to go home at the end of the day. If a customer tips, great. If not, it's not going to hurt me. But that also leaves a better relationship where customers are feeling like they're tipping by choice, versus sometimes on the other apps, they're just tipping to make sure their order gets picked up. And they will sometimes take that tip away or be upset about that. They can't ever take away your tip on Dumpling. They can add to it. They can't take it away. And so that's a little bit of a difference to get used to. And within that, we also see people coming from other apps often who think they have to do their whole area. And when you do your whole area, that's a lot of gas, a lot of time. And we've seen people try to go, 40 minutes away for just a restaurant pickup. That's going to cost you money. And so thinking about those sorts of things as well, the more localized you are, the less your gas and time expenses are going to be. And you can really focus on those areas. It's not to say you can't serve people or stores outside of that, but not making it the norm. That's the biggest thing we see when people say, well, I'm really not making enough money. It's often either that they price too low or that they were doing too much within that fee. So just be mindful of, you don't have to serve your entire county. You can serve your town and your neighboring town, something like that, and do just as well.
Exactly. The next one would be, so not spending time on your business or being consistent in working within your business. So we do see it quite often where people come in, they don't have a really good idea of maybe what Dumpling is or how it works, what they need to do. And then they set it up and they think it's just going to kind of grow itself, and it's not. So there is quite a bit of work that does go into running a business. So you're starting a business from scratch. If you have already some clients, that makes it a little bit easier, but if you don't, then it is. Either way, you're going to have to start at the bottom and kind of work your way up. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've all been there. There's a lot of, within the university, we have a lot of courses that talk about promoting your business, ways that you guys can go about doing that. And again, the coaching, that's how we're here. So making sure that you're setting time aside every single week. You should have a good couple of hours set aside for marketing your business, for, whether it's office stuff, whether it's for your taxes and keeping up on your, Excel spreadsheet or whatever it may be. There's almost always going to be something that can be done within your business, and just making sure that you are willing and able to set that time aside and continue to grow it. Because like Ashley said, some people, they come in, they get started super, super quickly. Other people like myself, it took me months. Biggest reason for that is because I thought it was going to grow itself, and it didn't. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. People aren't going to want me to deliver their groceries, which was not the case, because I had tons of people asking me through the other apps, how did they get me? And it was once I started to actually talk about my business and get out there, start marketing, that I started gaining leads, that I started getting clients and getting orders. So once I took that time to actually, sit down and be like, right, I'm not going to go do Instacart, or I'm not going to go do Shipped right now. I'm going to take 2 hours to get some marketing done on Canva and put it into my Facebook or whatever it is, or go out to the local nursing homes or daycares, things like that, and passing out business cards and flyers. That is when I really started to see that shift and my business start to kind of grow and flourish.
I think for me, the part 2 of that was learning to actually follow up with clients. That's not something we do on other apps, but here they are, your lifelong client, right? And so it took a little bit of confidence building, but to be able to reach out, to remind them to order, check in on them after their order, things like that. It can easily pile up and get away from you. And then you're like, oh no, I meant to text them 2 weeks ago. So when I do that weekly time for my business, that's one of the things I look at is, when is the last time I talked to so-and-so? Do they need a message from me? Things like pre-scheduled posts on Facebook or the auto messages in the app can certainly help you manage keeping up on things, but just generally looking at your business regularly and saying, okay, this is the clients I have now, this is who I need to reach out to, can really, really help. And that way you don't have people that order once or twice and then you never hear from them again. You still could have that if they're not a good fit for you, but you will retain a lot more of them if you're consistently talking to them outside of just when they place an order.
Yeah, exactly.
And the next one on that is we do have a marketplace search where people can type in a zip code, see who's in their area. Shoppers opt into this, and they have a few requirements that they have to hit to be listed on here, such as doing an order in the last month. We do have a list available and a course about this in our university. But sometimes what happens is people, like Sarah said, they kind of just expect it to grow for them. They think all of these people are going to come in on the marketplace search and that they don't have to market. One thing we really recommend is doing it in conjunction. When you get marketplace leads, sometimes you'll get a few and then you won't for a while, right? It can depend what's going on in the world. Don't just rely on them. They're like a cherry on top. So market your business, but also consider utilizing the marketplace search and using them together. But we have seen people write that I'm not getting any orders. I don't understand. I'm on the marketplace search. I met those requirements, but they're not quite understanding that that doesn't mean everyone in your town is hearing about Dumpling and typing in their zip code. And so they work hand in hand together instead of just relying on one or the other.
I think kind of along that line is, and it's so important. So first is how your business profile is set up. So making sure that fill everything out, give detail, talk about yourself. That's the first thing a client, especially coming from the marketplace, they probably have a couple other shoppers in your area to choose from. So you want to stand out. You guys will notice that when you look at the marketplace, it's like a scorecard kind of that you see, right? That's just like kind of a blip. So you'll see your tagline in there. So get a nice tagline, highlight one of your favorite reviews, get a nice profile picture that is friendly and nicely lit, minimize the background behind you. Talk about yourself and you're about me. All those things are super important, because when a client goes to you, they're going to read through that and you want them to choose you. So don't just, put in the bare minimum and then walk away and be like, why am I not getting anybody? Show yourself. Talk about yourself. Let them get to know you. They want to feel like they get to know you and that you're going to be a great fit for them. So I think that's a huge one. And then the second one is when you are talking to a client, whether it's face-to-face, via text, over social media, whatever it may be, do not share the shop.dumpling.us link, share yours, because that will, again, it's going to lead them to the marketplace where there may be other shoppers and they may not choose you. Share your link directly from your app, or you can invite them directly from your app by including their name and phone number, and it'll immediately send them a text to link to you directly. You always want people to link to you directly as much as possible. That is going to be the biggest way for you to gain those leads to then turn into hopefully regular clients.
That can also help prevent any sort of awkward client situations, because as we mentioned, there's requirements to be on this marketplace, right? And so we've seen things happen where maybe someone turns off their schedule for the week and they forget to turn it back on. One of those requirements is having a slot open in the coming week. And so they'll send a client to go look for them on the marketplace. And then the client's like, yeah, but you're not listed there. Why'd you send me to this thing? You're not listed there. And then it becomes kind of awkward and an interesting introduction that you can avoid by just sending them to your direct link. That way you don't have to go look first. Wait, am I live right now? Before I give them this, you can just give them your link, and regardless of your marketplace status, your link will work. It will be the shop.dumpling.us / whatever your name is. That's what we mean by your direct link. Definitely always use that when you're talking to your own clients. It will also show you in the app kind of where people came from, whether it was your link, invite from texting from that marketplace. And so later on, when you are thinking about how do I talk to specific clients or specific leads, it can really help you if they've come into the correct place on that. And so definitely, if you're talking to someone, share your link. It has a lot of benefits later that you might not think about in that moment.
So the next one would be boundaries and kind of the lack of them, right? So I think that can be a struggle for a lot of people, as you want to be nice, you want to make all the clients happy, but there comes a time where having boundaries is extremely healthy for both you and your clients, because it can be pretty easy to allow a client to kind of walk all over you. And I think so one of the biggest could be like setting using the booking conditions. I think that can be a really good kind of example. So we do have booking conditions that say, I don't want a client to place an order less than 4 hours before the start of when they want it delivered, type of thing. That gives you time to be able to plan. I personally have a 24-hour booking notice. I work full time. I also run my business, so I need 24 hours in advance to be able to work things out and make sure that it's going to work within my schedule. And my clients are absolutely fine with that. But having that means that you're not going to get an order that comes in directly at 1 o'clock for a 2 to 3 window, when the grocery store is 30 minutes away. It's going to take an hour to shop, and then another 30 minutes to deliver. Not that that's a big deal. You do not, again, there's no timer, there's no like time frame that you absolutely have to have it delivered by. That's more of for just like you and the client to say like, oh, it's going to come between this time, but it's up to you guys to work that out. But it's super helpful for you guys to say, nope. So I do have to set boundaries because I am just one person, and I'm not able to do these last minute orders. Or if I am able to do it, just reach out to me and I will let you know and open up a slot for you. But Ashley, what other kind of like boundaries are
I think it's funny to think about when we first started our business, we didn't have all these app features. And so there was a lot of spots where we really struggled with boundaries. And some of the favorite features for me that have come out since then are related to that. So that could be the booking conditions. That can be setting a minimum fee. If you don't want to go do little orders, you can use your pricing to deter that. If you don't want to drive all over town, you can use your app settings to deter that. If you don't want clients who are demanding discounts, you don't have to work with those clients. Or you can be very clear, I do have a discount, but it ends this month. I'm not honoring this next month, things like that. So whatever it is that you're looking at, it can help set their expectations and just guide them to the right place to have boundaries in place, especially if it's with the app settings. And it reduces the chance of that awkward conversation that you have to have with them, or you have to tell them no, or any of those things. They don't always understand. They're used to using the other apps. And so us setting it up correctly really makes it a smoother process for them, where they're not going to get you rushed doing a last minute order or driving across town or showing up later than you said. They're going to get your best service where you can really focus on them, check dates, check their produce, make sure the substitutions are what they want. And that's the experience you want them to have. So it can be a little nerve-wracking at first to kind of set these boundaries, but what we see is more long-term success when people do. They're less stressed out and they're really able to do a better job. The clients sometimes don't even see these boundaries. It doesn't have to be something that's right in front of their face. And there's ways to respectfully do boundaries, even if it's not something that's within the app. They're human beings. It sometimes can take a little bit to change behavior. So kind of gradually teaching boundaries can be a good way to go, or just, remembering they're human beings and they're not used to using your service and setting expectations. It doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. And if they are someone who's just really violating your boundaries and you hate shopping for them every time they order, you're like, I really don't want to leave the house and do this. This does not bring me joy. Something feels off about this. Don't have to keep working for them. But instead of messaging them and saying, well, you never tip me, you order last minute, right? Again, you can prevent some of those within the app. But the other thing is, you don't have to necessarily say, you never, blah, 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 because if they hear about your business in a conversation somewhere, what are they going to remember about you? They're going to remember that it was confusing or abrupt. And so you can kind of nicely let them down in a way that it doesn't even have to be fully honest. And that way, if they see people talking about your business, it might be, oh yeah, I used them a couple times. It was fine. Or they might even not feel compelled to say anything, which is what you want with a client that you had to essentially fire, right? So again, going back to, you work with who you want, and that's great, but it's a learning curve to narrow that down into who you really want. And so use the app to help you set that up. It makes it a lot easier than having all of those negative conversations.
And the last one out of the common mistakes made would be, so trying to go about all of this without utilizing the information that is right at your fingertips. So we have the university courses, we've got coaching, and we have the just app practice, which is where you open both of the apps and just play around with it. These are extremely helpful. So the university has, as we call onboarding, which is kind of the introduction level. And then we have the promote your business, which dives more into marketing and the ways you can kind of go about doing that, client communication, all sorts of things. The coaching is one-on-one help, so we can dive in specifically to your business, your area, what you're wanting to do. And then the app practice is you placing a friendly order for yourself, you kind of playing around, seeing how things work, so that when a client asks you, how do I do this, you're easily able to say, oh, and walk them through it. This helps you to show confidence to clients, and will also help to reduce the overwhelm or burnout for you and for clients, because believe it or not, clients do get burnt out, especially when they're coming from another gig, which how they say it is it's more user friendly, because they partner with other apps and ours don't. So it takes a little bit of a learning curve. So the more you're able to help those clients and say, well, if you're having a trouble with placing an order in the app, all you need to do is put one item in the cart and then text me your list, and I can get you everything you need. But if you don't know to do that, you're not able to tell the client. So diving into all of the information that we have, asking questions after you've done so. If you have one and you're like, oh, I watched these and this hasn't been answered, right into the coaches. We are always happy. That is exactly what we are here for. Ashley and I both went through coaching when we first got started, and we would not be here today if it wasn't for that help. So feel free to always utilize what you have at your fingertips. It's there for you, right? It's already created, and it can be super, super useful.
I think within that too, if you know information, you have to remember clients are going to ask you questions. And instead of like saying, well, this is what Instacart does, and just focusing on that can be confusing for them. Or instead of saying, I don't really know. Obviously, if you ever don't know an answer, yes, say, I don't know. But how often these questions come up where you can just be confident and be the expert, it's really going to make customers feel more comfortable to put that order in. You know what you're doing, you're going to take care of them. If you're unsure or even negative about it, that can kind of scare them off a little bit. So when you get started going through that information, of course, it will help make it easier for you, but it also just makes you appear a lot more professional to have this information. If you've used the customer app and they're asking you a question, you know what they're talking about. You can make sense of it because you've seen it. Again, of course, if you really don't know, it's always okay to not lie to them and to just say, let me find out and I'll get back to you. But for this information that is kind of standard questions that they would have, definitely familiarize yourself, because we have seen some awkward client interactions with people who are just trying to reinvent the wheel. And again, you can do it on your own without all of our help, but at least use the courses and the things like that, because you can watch those when we're not even here. You can watch those in the middle of the night if you want. And we've put effort into creating those so that people could access them as they needed. And those are free to all of our business owners all the time, not just when you sign up. You can always kind of go back to them. So, take notes as you watch them, whatever it is that helps you, but definitely kind of know your stuff a little bit before you start marketing, and it will make it so much easier for you.
And then, so lastly, number 5, and this isn't really a question per se, but go at your own pace. Everybody is different, and don't compare yourself to other business owners or other businesses, and continue to strive for your best. I've always liked to say, and I've said it since pretty much the beginning of my coaching, is all flowers grow differently. So when spring hits, you usually get like the tulips coming up first, and it's going to take a while before that rose really hits. And that's okay. It's okay that the tulip bloomed before the rose did, because that's the whole point. It's supposed to. You're going to bloom when you're ready. So continue to focus on yourself, continue to, put in those efforts. It doesn't mean that you can't focus on other people, but don't put 100% of that focus, or even necessarily 50% of that focus, into other people. Just look at what they're doing and then kind of take notes, like, oh, that's actually a really great idea. Maybe I try that within my business, instead of, oh man, how did they make that work? And then I can't make this work, right? Try to reframe. I think the mindset shift, reframe your mind. It is so easy to get into, especially in today's day and age, that negative mindset. Like one bad thing happens and oh my gosh, we're down for the day. Reframe it. However you need to do that, whether it's, if you need to reach out to somebody, whether it's Ashley or myself, and be like, I'm at a loss. I don't know what else to do. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. I'm not doing well. reach out to us. We're here to help. We're here to say, be that cheerleader and say, no, you can do this. Why don't you give this a try? Or whatever it is that you need, because it can. I know in the beginning, I was super, super down on myself. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I was a very shy person. So the fact that I even was going to do this is absolutely insane to me. But I did it. And I really, I still have my very first client. He has stuck with me after all of these years, and I'm going on what, 4 years now? Yeah, nope, I just hit 4 years actually. So all of these things that just don't compare yourself so much and just strive for the best that you can be. And yeah, you'll get there.
I think within that too, ask those around you what sets you apart, and that can help as well. So that might be your friend, that might be your sister, whatever it may be. But if you've been doing other apps, you may have some reviews, screenshot those, save those for yourself. Because if they're saying this person was really great at XYZ, that's a thing they're not getting with other shoppers. And it can help you to see like, okay, maybe this person in my area did come in with all these clients and is great at blah, 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 but I'm really good at knowing dog food, or whatever little thing it is. And you can focus your marketing to go with that. If you're focusing on your positives, it just is a lot easier. It will feel more natural to you. It will be less scary. If you're really trying to shove yourself into something that doesn't fit, it might be because it doesn't fit. It might be a matter of, you're really trying to focus on working with families with kids, and that maybe isn't your ideal client. Maybe your ideal client is a working professional or something like that. So if you are feeling stuck, of course, we are always here to help. But also just kind of look at your confidence in general. What are some things that you could do to understand, I'm really good at customer service. I'm not as good at knowing the groceries. That's okay. That's a thing you can learn, right? And so just thinking about really, this is where I'm stuck, can give you some good insight on here's where to go next. And just remember, if someone does look great next to you, there might be something they're struggling with too that you're just not seeing out in the open. The grass is always greener, right? So don't assume that that person next to you has no struggles whatsoever. There might be something that really can attract customers to you, a different subset of customers that's totally different than what they do. I think that's it on that one.
Exactly. I would say one other thing to kind of add, and I think a lot of people kind of get hung up on it, particularly with the social media. When utilizing things like Canva, Word Swag, I believe Ripple's another one, anything like that, it's okay to want to strive for perfection, but remember, we're not perfect, right? None of us are going to be perfect. You should see, I'm sure Ashley would agree, you should see how I started and the things that I posted on my social media in the beginning. They weren't great, right? I was still new, I was still learning, and that's okay. I still have them on there. And over the years, I have learned so much, whether it's taking a Canva tutorial or using Google or YouTube. There's so many things out there to help you within your business kind of, become a little bit better. Again, we're not striving for perfection because we are not perfect people. I actually prefer to see businesses that are more in line with that, right? If you're trying to strive for perfection, I'm probably not going to be as interested because you're not showing your real true self. We all make mistakes. We're all getting, there may be a typo somewhere. That's okay. It happens. But have somebody look it over for you to maybe kind of lessen that chance next time, or you learn, right? You learn over time. And we do, again, in the university, we go on a little bit of about how to kind of build those social media images or graphics, however you want to say it, within Canva and things like that, the type of things to do or not do when it comes to fonts and colors and all of that stuff. So definitely feel free to take a look at that as well, just to make sure that when you are doing it, it's legible, because I think the biggest thing is people should be able to read it. Think of it from different points of views of not everybody has 20/20 vision. Some people are older. reading on a small screen or even on a computer can be super difficult. So just keeping those things in mind. And I think that is one of the biggest things to remember when you are starting that like kind of social media marketing, is not striving for the perfection of it and having it look like it was done by this, professional social media marketer. But more so, is it legible and is it getting the point across in a good way? But yeah, anything else to kind of add to that?
On that one too, we've seen both ends of the spectrum. We have some business owners who are just killing it at social media marketing. They just do a great job. Some of them have taken classes to get there. Some of them just kind of naturally know that. But we actually just did a business owner with Matthew, and he's been around. He's one of our first business owners, so many years, and he's actually uncomfortable with social media and as far as business promotion. And he hasn't done a lot of it, and it hasn't hindered his business. But he kind of realized right away, that's not something I'm comfortable with. So I really need to go after word of mouth and talk to people face to face. So again, if there's a thing that you're like, that just really is not comfortable for me, you might have to work a little bit harder at something else, but there are lots of ways to meet the same goals. And so just, again, not comparing yourself, knowing that people go at a different pace and people have different goals. Some people do this around a job. Some people do it full time. Some people are doing it around caretaking, right? And so there are factors that you're not going to see when you look at the person next to you. And actually, it can be very helpful to have someone next to you, because what if you need to go on a vacation and you don't want all your people to go back to Instacart or whatever it is? That's definitely another one of those mind shift things that we talk about, where when we are in the gig world, we are kind of all competing for the same pool of orders. And the more people sign up, the more frustrating that can be. As changes happen, we can really feel that. If we're seeing our customers and they had a really bad experience last time, we can take on a lot of that. It's a little bit different in this space. So you'll kind of see as you go, you'll gradually learn this, but from the get-go, don't hinder yourself and kind of stop climbing that mountain just because someone else is doing better, and that will help quite a bit.
Agreed. I would say for those that haven't already watched the 2 different videos, so we've got our interview with Matthew Tellis. That's the one that Ashley is talking about. And then there's another one with Val. I would recommend watching both of those if you guys have some time, because they're 2 completely different businesses. Val is very into social media and she does an amazing job. You can actually find her Instagram right in the video. So I would highly suggest taking a look through that and just how she does it. And then again, Matthew doesn't do social media, and yet he still has become very within his business, he does really well. So just seeing the differences of, yeah, this person does social and does well, this person doesn't and still does well. It's really good to kind of just hear the differences. So I would highly say, if you got a chance, they're about an hour long each. Take some time and check those out.
And if you don't have that full time, we do have a lot of business owner profiles in our guidebook, which is guidebook.dumpling.us. We can link this as well. But it can really show the different ways people have gone. Again, not that you have to take on all of those things that they are doing, but it can help you see that it's flexible and there's room for creativity to do what you do best.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We really hope that you found this information helpful as to whether or not that, Dumpling and starting a business on the Dumpling platform would be a good fit for you. As always, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to Ashley or myself. You can do this through the help center at help.dumpling.us. We'll post that in the description for you guys. If you already have an account and have the Dumpling or the Boss app, you can find the help center right through there under the business tab right at the top. It says Dumpling Message Center. And from there, you can reach out to the coaches as well. But thank you again and hope you guys have a great day.